Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. This is going to be a video about HEX and Pulsechain. And really, this video was inspired, and what this video is going to be doing predominantly is looking at some of Binance's comments towards HEX, Pulsechain, and PulseX, and the kind of threat that it imposes in regards to potentially scrutiny from the SEC coming towards HEX, Richard Hart, and everybody involved in it. And also the lack of transparency and kind of finality with Pulsechain, which of course is their Ethereum fork. It's going to be or supposed to be an Ethereum-like blockchain. It's really just a fork of Ethereum that's obviously faster and cheaper. But I happen to think, and I'm going to do separate videos on both HEX and Pulsechain, I happen to think that Pulsechain will not be very prosperous, and we actually, what they're doing is nothing new. It's maybe new in the sense that they're planning on forking everything, all the tokens, everything, and so on all the projects. But we do have Ethereum competitors that offer faster, cheaper transactions. But I will do separate videos on both HEX and Pulsechain, but I will fly through them quickly in this video as it kind of is needed to be said to make sense. I also want to give my own personal take a little bit on this whole situation, because I think HEX is going to be a failed project, and I think people are going to lose a lot of money. Now, I'm not a HEX hater. In fact, I was one of the people way back in the early days when HEX launched, where you essentially swapped your HEX or your Ethereum. You went onto the HEX website, you swapped your Ethereum, or you gave your Ethereum over to a protocol in order to receive a chunk of whatever HEX was given out that day. And I think anybody that took part in that did very well, providing that you're not still holding. And even if you were still holding today, I'm sure you'd be up somewhat. But I haven't been involved with HEX really since the end of 2021, start of 2022. Really, going into the end of 2021, that was when I was completely out of HEX, and I haven't had any sort of involvement in it. And the only reason I ever invested in HEX in the first place was as a kind of punt, if you will, that it might do quite well because of the hype around it. It's never been a cryptocurrency that I've believed in, and I happen to think that it's actually a useless cryptocurrency. And if the value of something is that it promises you returns, well, what happens if those returns are no longer there in terms of a fiat value? It might offer you 38% APY in terms of HEX, but what happens if HEX is 50% down? You're negatively compounding. And I think that the problem is when you create a cryptocurrency that's whole design, this kind of timeshare design that HEX has, is to be held and for it just to continuously go up. But what happens if it doesn't do that? And that creates this kind of cascade. And also what they're doing with Pulsechain, and I'm not 100% up to date on it, is essentially promising a layer one blockchain that is superior to to Ethereum. And I do not think they will be able to deliver that. I don't think they've got the resources or the devs, but I may be proven wrong. So this isn't me hating on HEX. I just want to look at some of the comments made from Binance. This is really for a video for HEX holders or people that were maybe interested or thinking about buying it. In my opinion, there are way more so many other cryptocurrencies out there that deserve your attention other than HEX and Pulsechain. And I think that, the fact that people have sacrificed to get PulseX and Pulsechain and it's still not arrived yet, also with HEX, if HEX's price is this now, what happens when you have two HEXs, one on Ethereum and one on Pulsechain? It's going to be a lot lower in terms of price. So make of it what you will. And be sensible. If you have any arguments or you think I'm wrong on any points, comment sections below, guys. Let me know and I will reply if you have a valid argument that you're making, not just that you're caught up in your feelings and you're down bad on your HEX bag and you want to vent in regards to somebody that's just trying to tell you how he sees it. But if you have a genuine beef with what I'm saying or point that you can raise and say, look, you're wrong here, All in Crypto, please let me know in the comments, because I'm not an oracle. I'm not all seeing and all knowing. This is just my take on it. So let's look at some of Binance's comments. Hex threatens to implode as creator Richard Hart faces fraud accusations. Hex, Pulsechain, and PulseX combined is a $5 billion project, which could be catastrophic to the market if or when it implodes. The fact that crypto influencers promoted Hex was slapped with subpoenas by the US Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, does not ease the tension among investors. So there's been lots of talk about this. It's not a good look. And it kind of shows that, you know, right now crypto is still being regulated. I think that something like Hex is what they're going to go for because it's got a public figure attached to it, a very flashy public figure. I like Richard Hart, by the way. I just think he's in a corner with Hex. I know that he's smart enough to honestly not believe that Hex is the best cryptocurrency out there, right? And Pulsechain is going to be the best. He's a smart man. He's done exceptionally well. He's made way more money than I ever have in the real world. I don't know about his trading background or anything like that. But he's a very successful businessman and he's got a lot of really good attributes. So I'm not a hater on Richard Hart, but I do feel like he's going to be a big target for the SEC. Pulsechain is the other pipe dream. I think that we always jump to these sort of pipe dreams and, you know, calling something a scam or this or that. It's still got to prove itself, but right now it's looking like something that probably, you know, is going to be a while from launch and certainly hasn't been on time yet. And does he really want to launch PulseX in a bear market? And this is the other thing. Hex did very well on the backdrop of everything doing very well. Printathon, you know, all markets doing very well. People have got spare cash. They're going to dump it into everything. We're now in this constricting sort of environment. And unfortunately, that means people look for real value. And there is no real value in Hex, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. That's just my take. Don't get mad about it. Come up with a reason to why I'm wrong in the comment section. I would love that, in fact, to maybe get into a debate in the comment section. So that has been massively sold to the Hex community. So I'll go on and read that again. So Pulsechain is the other pipe dream that has been massively sold to the Hex community. Initially, a Pulsechain was to be this fast and cheaper Ethereum competitor, but now remains to be a fork. The Pulsechain team has also announced an airdrop for all Ethereum holders after the fork is successful. Pulsechain has been through numerous testnets through 2021, all of which gave hope to the Hex community of the future rewards. So this is actually from Binance's feed. I'll go ahead and read this and then we'll wrap the video up. We will look, you know, this is coming lower. You're probably going to end up, you know, this is a log scale chart, so it's a very steep drop in terms of price, but you in my opinion, you're going to go sub a cent. Don't shoot the messenger. This is just what I see. And again, you've got to, you know, and we'll quickly play the clip from the hex.com website explaining what Hex is. And I'll explain why actually, you know, this works in a flourishing environment, but in an environment where people are looking for real value and yield and they don't have that capital, they can just sit there and, you know, hope for the best. It creates a kind of self-eating environment. So over the past 24 hours, the Ethereum-based token Hex has taken a steep nosedive, trading at 2 cents at the time of writing. As creator Richard Hart battles allegations of fraud, the sun could be setting on Hex's universe. Heavy Hex criticism. Hex was launched in 2019. Since the token dawned on the crypto scene, shrugging off the Ponzi scheme traits has been close to impossible. Crypto analyzers were even questioning how its market cap surged to almost 1 billion in mid-2022. Yet the coin seemingly remains unnoticed by the crypto market. So this, if by the looking at coin market cap, still has a $3 trillion billion market cap, and at one point actually was supposedly worth $84 billion. I mean, what? I don't know how accurate that is. Because you obviously, you know, we know how market caps and everything works. You can never pull the actual market cap out because obviously it would change the second people start to sell. But insane, guys. I mean, it's certainly a fall from grace from the price perspective. But from a market cap perspective, I mean, this is insane. And the problem is, it's still 3 trillion. How much more of that is going to get drained off? So yet the coin seemingly remain unnoticed. In crypto, there's a tribalism that every coin you buy is a world-changing, amazing thing. Every coin anyone else buys is a scam by default. So yeah, lots of people are very tribalistic. This is obviously Richard Hart, the CEO. I think Richard Hart has got a wealth of knowledge in regards to crypto. I just think, again, he's backed himself into a corner with backing HEX and creating, well, maybe not creating, he's made a lot of money off of it, but, you know, having to kind of champion it. In the last 24 hours, HEX investors have seen the token market capitalization drop from 3.9 trillion billion to 3.7. Its price lost 3.5% at the time of writing. HEX USD. It then goes on to talk about Mike Alfred. Don't rate Mike Alfred at all. So not even going to really, you know, he's been calling. He actually did a live talk or debate with Richard Hart, and I think Richard Hart destroyed him. So, you know, he didn't really have many arguments other than he thought it was this and he thought it was that. He didn't actually put forward anything. But I think it's HEX's design that's going to lead it to falter. So Pulsechain is the other pipe dream, has been massively sold to the community. And then it goes on to basically say that, look, you know, it's not looking great. The SEC are likely going to be coming after HEX. And what would that mean? Well, there is Richard Hart would put across the argument that it's a smart contract. So how can you regulate a smart contract in regards to how HEX works? It's just a smart contract on Ethereum, and so on and so forth. I mean, if you look at their frequently asked questions, you can see, or more, you can see that scam security is quite high up there. So it's obviously something they're thinking about as well. I'll just play you a clip of what HEX is, and then, you know, I'm going to do a whole video on Pulsechain and whether I think it's going to launch, whether I think it won't launch. Even if it does launch, it's nothing impressive, in my opinion. How many Ethereum competitors and layer ones do we have now? You know, in this market, you can't just be another EVM chain. You've got to do something differently, and I don't think Pulsechain is going to bring that to the table. You want a cheap blockchain to use that's fast, go and use ALGORAND or something like that. Not Pulsechain, which, you know, has got all this sort of. I think HEX is more of an issue in regards to regulatory than Pulsechain, but I think even still, there's going to be crossover here, and I think that genuinely, Gary Gensler's probably going to go for Richard. So I'll just go ahead and make sure my volume settings are okay. Here we are. Bear with me, guys, and we'll play this clip, and then I'll let you guys decide for yourself what you think.
The invention of cryptocurrencies brought us alternatives to the traditional financial system. HEX is the next step in that evolution, designed to replace high-interest time deposit savings accounts. Stake your HEX coins for a fixed time period, and once your stake expires, HEX pays you the interest you're owed. The longer lockdown period you choose, the higher interest rate you receive. HEX is a smart contract built on top of the Ethereum network, providing you trustless, decentralized interest without any banking fees or middlemen. Bitcoin miners generate about 650,000 coins a year in total. They have to sell most of it to cover their high electricity costs, forcing down the price of Bitcoin on the market. Rather than paying miners, HEX pays the stakers instead, who have no mining costs pushing down the price of HEX. And the more people stake their coins, the less will be available on the market for buyers, which in turn increases the price of HEX. However, if less people stake, then the contract automatically increases the amount of interest earned by the remaining stakers. This balance ensures that it's always beneficial to be a staker. You can already buy HEX on a growing number of exchanges.
We'll leave it there. Just a quick explanation about what HEX is, but I will do and if you guys would appreciate that, let me know in the comments. I will do a deep dive on HEX and Pulsechain. Just want to give some thoughts on it. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's a timeshare. There are some like little smart features in there, but generally the problem is you're getting paid the interest in HEX, right? So if HEX is going down, it doesn't matter whether you're making 120%. In terms of your portfolio, if your initial portfolio goes down by 50% in terms of what HEX is worth. Potentially, you're looking at a sub $1 HEX, in my opinion. But we'll see. I think the cryptocurrency market in general is at this kind of weird place, but stay tuned for our daily cryptocurrency market update videos. That's all I've got for you guys. Let me know if you found this interesting. Any critiques of what I've said, or if you think I've spread misinformation, call me out. Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear it and perhaps amend whatever I've said if I've got something wrong. All I've got for you guys, I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Enjoy your Sundays.